you guys, how are you doing today? Happy Friday. I'm so happy first of all because I have the next 5 days off from work from Starbucks where I'm a barista. If you know, you know. If you don't, now you know. But I have 5 days off and I'm excited. And today's my first day, so I decided to come and record my little episode because I feel like I haven't gotten time to do that. I want to say, like, I love my job at Starbucks because I feel like I have the opportunity to connect with so many people that I wouldn't otherwise, which I'll get into later on. But I just want to say I'm so grateful to have this platform and to be able to connect with you guys in this way. And I hope that this is able to help one of you, you know? Like, even if it's able to help you in some way, I feel like I'll feel fulfilled and happy, which I do anyways when I do these. But yeah. I feel like ever since I recorded my last episode, I've been going about things in a different way where I kind of write my thoughts down and then I talk about what I wrote, right? Because I feel like I have so many thoughts running through my mind that writing them down really helps me like collect all of them and then be able to present them to you in a better way. That makes sense. But yeah, it's been working for me and I love to write. Like, I feel like writing is something I did a lot as a kid, but like I've just stopped doing as much as I grew older, not because I don't enjoy it, but because I feel like it requires you to make time for it, which I haven't gotten because I've been going to school and then working. But you gotta make the time, guys, for things that you love, and I'm trying to do that now. So with that, let's get right into the episode. I want to start it with Om Namah Shivaya, of course, because I'm so grateful to Shiv Bhagwan for helping me on this journey, and I feel like I'm just having such a good time, like, experimenting with what I want to talk about and different things. It's just been an amazing journey, so super grateful, super excited, so let's get into it. I just want to say, like, for the people who are close to me, they probably know I've been having a lot of revelations these days, and one of them was like that the lens with which you view the world changes so much. So I feel like everyone has a lens, right? Like, we all have a lens, and by lens I don't mean, well, as the name suggests, right? It's something that each of us has, whether that be because of your trauma, your experiences, and just what makes you you, right? And I feel like underneath that, or like behind that lens, is who you truly are, right, at your core. But the things that are out in the external, we perceive in different ways through that very lens. And each of us has a different one. Like I said, it's very, very subjective. So what do you think that results in? That results in each of us perceiving our reality, or like, yeah, perceiving what happens to us in different ways. So I feel like two people might be in the same situation, same circumstance, with the same external things, but their internal lens changes everything for them, and they're able to perceive the world in two very different ways. And I've been realizing this because I feel like my lens has changed, and that's not because of anything external, but it's because of something internal. And I've been really big on this for the past few weeks, or like I feel like I've been mentioning that a lot, but I think that's so true. Give me a sec. So as I was saying, since I've realized this, because my lens has shifted, so I feel like my external may be the same that it was before, but I'm perceiving it in a very different way. And that in turn is changing my external. So it's kind of a ripple effect, but what I'm trying to say is that I think it starts internally rather than externally. Like, sometimes we wait for a specific time or for something to change, and we wait upon that, but like, it's not really going to change anything for you if you don't make that shift internally. When you make that shift internally, it reflects externally in a much better way that is way intentional, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it really blew my mind when I thought about this, when I was thinking about how things are different for me. Because it just sounds very simple when you say it, as if it's obvious and it's common sense that, oh, like everyone has their own lens. But like, what does it actually mean? So your lens, what I've learned about it is your lens is often subconscious, and it's made up, like I said, of your experiences, your past trauma, and your sometimes unconscious beliefs that you just have, but like you don't know why you have them. You just kind of have them and you never even question them. You're like, yeah, I think this way, or I don't like this, but you never stop to question yourself as to why. Like, why do you feel this way? Because oftentimes when you do question yourself, you will find that that comes from something from your childhood, or something that someone put into you when you were little. And why I say childhood is because when you're younger, you're very impressionable. Like, things have a bigger impact on you and they kind of seep into you, you know? So if that was ingrained in you at an early age, it would become subconscious or unconscious at this point. Like, you wouldn't even realize that it's there, but it's there, and you see it in the way where it affects the way you act, the way you react, the way you interact. Wait, that's kind of funny, but anyways, yeah, so I feel like it has a really big impact. And the point is that we don't often realize it just because it's unconscious for us now, which is why it's so important for you to question yourself when you have those beliefs come up, and when you have a strong feeling as to like, oh, I should be doing this, or whatever it is, and you don't even question that, right? It's important to stop and question yourself. Why? Like, why do you feel that way? Truly. And for that, you need to journal, like I talked about in my last episode. It's important to journal and sit with yourself, and then once you're really able to figure out and understand, I'd say understand yourself in a better way as to why you do feel that way, it'll be one of two things, right? It'll either be a belief that doesn't come from you, that comes from someone external that when you were little put that into you, whether that's a parent or someone you were close to when you were younger. Or second, that could then be something that you're struggling with that comes from your past trauma and that you've made meaning out of, because your mind is a meaning making machine, right? You're going to make meaning out of everything. So it can be one of those two things. And then once you're really able to journal, and I would really recommend journaling, okay guys? Like, I know that people say it all the time, like, oh, journal, like do this, do that, but like I feel like journaling truly helps you understand yourself, which is so essential because of what I'm talking about right now, about like how you have all these beliefs and you never question them, and they keep running and you keep doing them, and it's just kind of you're running unconscious. But when you become conscious and you become aware, the first step is becoming aware, and the second one is sitting with those thoughts and then questioning them, and then seeing where that leads to. And then once you do get to a point where you're able to understand where you're coming from, I want you to approach it with a lens of compassion and love and grace, rather than feeling ashamed or feeling like, oh, like, how did you not know that? Because wherever that's coming from, your past self had a reason why they were doing a certain thing, or why they had a certain belief, or like I said, you inherited the belief from somewhere. So whatever it may be, I want you to deal with yourself with compassion and grace. Because believe me, I know in the past I used to have a mindset where if I found something new, and if I was like, oh, like, I used to do this in the past, I would look at myself in a very negative light. Like, oh, like, how did you not know this? Like, you should have known better, this, that. But I failed to understand that my past self was doing the best that she could to keep herself safe, given her circumstances. So that's why I stress on the importance of really, like, giving yourself that compassion and grace, right? Like, because imagine you were talking to, like, let's say it was your sibling or someone you really love, like a best friend, and they did something in the past that may not have been the best, or they may not have acted in the best way, but now they're realizing that and they want to change that. How would you deal with that? Would you deal with it in a way of like, oh, how did you not know that, blah blah blah, right? Most likely you would not, right? You would be like, hey, like, I understand why you did what you did, and you would help them understand that. So I want you to do the same thing with yourself. Again, I know that this can be a very abstract concept, but I'm trying to break it down the best that I can. I want you guys to really comment down below and let me know what your own experiences have been with this, like whether you've even experienced this before or not, because oftentimes I have these thoughts or these realizations and I wonder, am I the only one? So I'd love to have an open conversation with people who've also had this or something similar. Like, I'd love to hear your perspective. Yeah, so coming back to that, I think that's super important to get to know yourself and to understand yourself, because at the end of the day, you can only truly understand yourself. You can try and understand other people from what they're saying, but you will only be able to understand yourself to the depth that is possible with yourself. You will not be able to do that with anyone else, because of what I said, because people often even say things and act in ways that they're not conscious of. And I don't know, maybe you will meet someone who's super self-aware and conscious of these things that are going on, but I will say that it is rare. So that's why I say, like, the only person that I think you can truly understand to that level is yourself. And then obviously once you're able to do that, you can much easily, like, be the same way with other people, with the people you're in closer relation to and proximity to, whether that be your friends, whether that be your family, you know, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Like, you will be able to explain yourself in a better way because you've understood yourself in that way and to that level, and then B, you'll be able to understand them in a better way because you've realized these things about yourself, and you realize that, like, we're all complex human beings at the end of the day, and we're not straightforward, and we're not, you know, whatever. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that everyone does have good intentions in their heart. It's just that they act in certain ways that are a product of their own past, their experiences, their trauma, whatever it may be. But I feel like if you're able to give yourself that grace, you will also be able to do that for the other person in your life, whoever that is, a friend, a mom, a dad, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife. You will be able to understand them in a much deeper way when you're able to understand yourself in that way. And I've always heard the thing where people say that you're only able to meet other people as far as you've met yourself. And I think that that is very relevant here. And another thing I want to say, like a side note, is that oftentimes, like, I feel like I have heard all these things throughout my life about certain things, but it's only when I've truly experienced it myself that I'm truly able to absorb it. So I'm sure that's gonna happen to you guys too, but maybe this will help you start the process. I don't know if this will take you to the finish line, but at least this might help you, like, help urge that, help, like, awaken that, and help you become aware of your patterns that you have maybe. I think that's essentially what a therapist does, you know, like, you're basically becoming your own therapist. You're basically learning to observe yourself, your actions, your behaviors, and then stop and question yourself, which is usually what a therapist would do, right? Like, you present however your like, you know, your problems and whatever, and they observe that as, like, a neutral party, and then they give you their thoughts on it. Not theirs, but, like, they are supposed to at least present that in the most neutral way to you, so you're able to question yourself and get through it. I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of all over the place with this one, but I truly feel like I want to get it out because I've been thinking about this for a while. So if you guys like this kind of content, let me know and I will put some more out. I've honestly learned to do or, like, put stuff out that I feel like I should, because I've been learning to trust the highest version of me, and I've been learning to trust myself, that deep down I do know what's best for me. And like I said, you're the only person who can know yourself to that level, and I give myself that trust and the responsibility. And the faith. I have that faith in myself and in God, right? I have that deep-rooted faith where I know that I know what I'm doing, not in a conceited way, but in a way where I truly know myself, so I know what I'm doing. And the funniest part is I'm no longer worried about the way that people perceive these things, because I know that at the end of the day, I'm trying to share my learnings with the world, because I genuinely want to help people, because I know that throughout my own journey, I have been helped by countless like YouTube videos, podcasts, like books. They've really helped me start my inner journey. I'm not saying that they'll magically know what's going on with me, but they at least helped me get to this point. You know, it's been like a collaborative thing. So I want this video to maybe be that for you, possibly. Or if you're further along in your journey, maybe help you further. Because I'm at this point in my journey and I want you guys to at least start the journey, you know? If you're here to get here, if you're here to get here, you know, if that makes sense. But yeah, that was one thing, right? Another thing that I've realized is, in my own experience, that every time you think that something isn't possible for you, you really, really have to question yourself. Why do you think it's not possible for you? You know, like sometimes we just say these things and we just say it so casually, like, oh yeah, like I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do that. Like, but why? Like, why do you think you can't do it? Like, you should just ask yourself that, and if you're self-aware enough, ask the other people around you to maybe help them ask themselves that question in the future, you know? So from my own experience, I've realized that a lot of blocks that were there were in my own mind. They only existed in my own mind. As trippy as that sounds, those blocks were in my own mind. I couldn't do something just because I believed or I thought that I couldn't do it, right? And those aren't real. So the way to break those fake blocks is to immediately ask yourself, like I said, going back to questioning yourself, asking yourself, why do you think that's true? Like, truly question, again, with the lens of love and compassion, from a loving place, right? We want to do this out of a loving place and not out of a harsh place. And like I said, the way that you deal with yourself is going to be reflected in the way you deal with other people. And that is the same for other people. And when you realize this, your mind is blown, like my mind was, but I'm still learning, you know, as we all are. I love to learn more and more and more, and I love to share it with you guys, and that is my only goal with this. So when you do have that block, and when you realize you have that fake block in your mind of like you can't do something, you need to immediately ask yourself, why do you think that's true? And then after you ask yourself, or maybe journal about it later on, maybe when you ask yourself in the moment, you'll get like a little answer, but to truly uncover it, I'd suggest like journaling it, which I also want to do. Yeah. So when you think that you can't do something, you should A, like question it, and then B, you should do the thing that you think you can't do. And then you see the magic unfold, you know? Most likely from my own experience, not only will you probably be able to do that thing, but you will also be like, why did I ever think I couldn't do it? You know, you will actually think that that was silly, that you thought you couldn't do it, because it was actually so simple. And a lot of the times I've, again, found in life that things are incredibly simple, but we complicate it in our own minds. Again, this is one of the things that I heard a lot, like actually before in the past, where like, oh yeah, like you think things are super simple, but I mean, you think things are super complicated, but they're actually not. But then when I was able to really do it, or really experience it, is when I was able to implement it and move beyond it. Like I said, the best teacher is life, and I feel like you learn the most from your own experience. Yeah, it is true. So, if you don't stop and question yourself, you can keep operating on an outdated belief system that was there in the past to keep you safe or helped you survive in some way, like I talked about earlier, based on your circumstances and capability at the time. So it's important to give yourself grace. Give your past self grace. I was actually thinking of writing a love letter to my past self in honor of my 23rd birthday that is coming up soon, guys, on Tuesday, March 3rd. And I am super excited because on my last birthday is when I thought of or conceptualized the video that I recorded it, 22 lessons I learned at 22, and that was my very first episode. So I am super excited. Oh my gosh, I tend to lose track of everything, but bringing it all back together, it's important to give yourself grace. Give yourself, your past self, grace. So, and I was thinking of writing a love letter to my past self. I feel like I would often shame myself for acting a certain way or reacting a certain way that I also did in the past. I would I don't know, like I said earlier, I would look at it with a negative kind of lens, But it is so incredibly important to embrace yourself fully, all the aspects that make you you. We as human beings, I was having this conversation, I was telling someone that we as human beings are so incredibly multifaceted, and it's important for us to let ourselves be that way and to embrace ourselves for all of our aspects and do the same for others. And like I said, there is a correlation there. When you're able to do that for yourself, you're easily also able to do that for other people. Think about that one. But oh my gosh, guys, my camera just fell down. I mean, my phone. But going back to it. No. Stay. Like I said, it's incredibly important to embrace yourself fully, all the aspects that make you you. And I feel like I can again go off this whole topic in another video, so let me know if you want to hear more about that. But society, people around us, and sometimes even us, we put ourselves into these boxes that are meant to help you believe or become rooted in an identity. But I found that it often cages us instead of amplifying our truest expression, if that makes sense. So, although you thought that it helped you become rooted in identity, I found that it often cages us. And I believe our truest essence can exist freely when we allow ourselves to break out of those boxes which are self-imposed and supported by society. Okay, guys, I feel like I can go into this on another day because I feel like I can make a whole video out of it. So I'm just gonna kind of wrap it all together. So basically, what you judge within yourself is what you judge in other people. So it's important to recognize when you're judging other people. What exactly are you judging them for? When you judge other people, oftentimes, like I said, you have judged that within yourself. I think if I keep going, it's gonna become a really long episode, and I don't have time for that today. But I'm gonna continue this in the next episode. But basically, as I was saying, we're all so incredibly multifaceted, and I think it's important, firstly, to accept the fact that you have so many different aspects of you that make you you, and it's so important to equally love, if not love, at least accept every part of you that makes you you. And I think that's just the beginning of just being your most creative, authentic self and letting that out to the world, because the world deserves that. The world deserves to see you as your full, authentic, wonderful self. And with that, I'm gonna end this episode because, yeah. But I hope you guys took something away from that, and I'm sending you guys a lot of love, light, and courage. The courage not only to face the world, but sometimes face yourself, and to deal with yourself with love and compassion always. So yeah, here's to growing, evolving in 2026, and I want you guys to have the same experience. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And happy early birthday to me, I guess. But yeah, goodbye.